Inventory of Hazardous Materials IHM. The Inventory of Hazardous Materials IHM is a legally required document under the Hong Kong International Convention for the Safe and Environmentally Sound Recycling of Ships, HKC, 2009, entering into force in January 2025. It identifies, records, and tracks hazardous materials present in a ship's structure, systems, and equipment to ensure safe and environmentally sound recycling. 1. Purpose of the IHM. Ensures safe ship recycling by identifying hazardous substances and complies with international regulations under Hong Kong Convention. Facilitates pre-recycling assessments for ship-breaking yards. Prevents illegal dumping of toxic waste in developing countries. The inventory consists of Part 1. Materials contained in ship structure or equipment. Part 2. Operationally generated wastes. And Part 3. Stores. Part 1. Hazardous materials present in ship structure and equipment. Mandatory under HKC and EU SRR. Lists intentionally installed hazardous materials, including asbestos, insulation, gaskets, fireproofing, polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, transformers, cables, paints, ozone-depleting substances, ODS, refrigerants, firefighting systems, heavy metals, lead, paints, batteries, cadmium, coatings, electronics, mercury, switches, thermometers, hexavalent chromium, anti-corrosive paints, organodins, TBT, tributyl, anti-fouling coatings, radioactive substances, if present, e.g., smoke detectors. Part 2. Operationally generated wastes. Not always mandatory but recommended. Lists hazardous wastes accumulated during operations such as bilge water, oil-contaminated, sludge from fuel/oil purification, sewage residues, cargo residues, if hazardous. Part 3. Stores and consumables. Usually removed before recycling but recorded for safety. Cleaning agents, solvents, detergents, pesticides used in cargo holds, medical waste, lubricants and hydraulic fluids. 5. Validity and updating requirements. Initial IHM must be prepared before the ship's first survey. Updated when changes occur, example, new equipment, repairs. Re-inspected every 5 years, mandatory under EU SRR. Final update before recycling, sent to the ship-breaking yard. 6. What is a green passport? The green passport is the older term for the inventory of hazardous materials, which was initiated by IMO Resolution A962/23 in December 2003. It was a document that provided information about hazardous materials on board a ship, intended to be delivered to the recycling facility. The IHM requires more detailed and accurate information about the listed hazardous substances in the inventory booklet, including sampling for existing ships. The IHM is regulated by the IMO's Hong Kong Convention, HKC, and the EU Ship Recycling Regulation, EU SRR, while the Green Passport was based on IMO Resolution A.962/23. What is EU SRR? The European Union Ship Recycling Regulation, EU SRR, is a framework that sets standards for responsible ship recycling within the EU, focusing on preventing harm to human health and the environment during the recycling process, especially for ships flying EU flags or calling at EU ports. Applies to ships flying the flag of an EU member state and to third-party flagged ships calling at EU ports or anchorages with a minimum size of 500 gross tonnage, GT. Inventory of hazardous materials. IHM ships must carry a certified IHM detailing the location and quantities of hazardous materials on board, which is a list of materials that are known to be hazardous to people and the environment. European list of compliant ship recycling facilities. Ships should only be sent to recycling facilities that are included on the European list, which are subject to independent third-party certification and auditing. Prohibition or restriction of hazardous materials. The EU SRR prohibits or restricts the installation and use of certain hazardous materials, such as asbestos and ozone-depleting substances. Additional safety and environmental requirements. The EU SRR goes beyond the Hong Kong International Convention for the Safe and Environmentally Sound Recycling of Ships, HKC, by setting out additional safety and environmental requirements. Thank you for watching the video. For more marine topics, please subscribe the channel. Please help us with your valuable feedback to improve the contents.